My name is Michelle May Anderson, and I wanted to go through the grieving process that I've gone through since my son died of suicide. His name is Morgan Ashton Anderson. It has taken me almost 6 months to be able to film this video because I don't think I would have been able to make it through it until now. Still, it's probably going to be very hard and I might get teary throughout. I'm not going to say I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it's a part of the process. The reason why I wanted to do this video is to kind of document what has happened since the time of his death. This is really scary. On the morning of July 25th, I woke up to the phone ringing, and it was Madison, and she had called and called and called. And it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. I had slept in because the night before I had a security system put in my home. And I was up really late with the security guy. We sent messages back and forth, but she was alarmed that Morgan hadn't taken Navy to daycare. Navy was still asleep next to me in the bed. The most tragic thing went through my head when I remembered the night before that she had called me at 3:28 p.m. and had been trying to call me, or a.m., and she had tried to call me to warn me that my son threatened suicide. So thinking about this, I jumped out of bed. Navy followed me, didn't realize it, and I went running down the stairs, and I couldn't get into my son's room, and I'm pounding on the door. And then I remembered, oh my God, he was outside when I last left him. And I went running up the stairs, and I went out this door. And that's when I saw my son's body at the bottom of the stairs. He had shot his side here. I went running down the stairs and I'd left the door open in a panic, not knowing that Navy was still following me. I went down to the bottom of the stairs, and there laid my son. He had a gaping wound from his side. His might sound a little morbid. His skin had rolled up and rolled down on both sides. And for some reason, I thought it would be a good idea to slap him on the back. I thought for some reason, if he flinches, he's still alive and I can save him. He didn't flinch. And I screamed out, "No, Morgan, why?" And then what went through my head at that very moment was, and I'm not a religious person, I am a spiritual person. I don't even know why I thought this. It just came in my brain. This was a contract that we had sometime before we came down here. It was supposed to be. Anyway, I remember a feeling of being watched come over me. And I remember turning around and scanning the backyard. I couldn't see them, but I knew that they were there. I don't know how many people, spirits. I just know there was a lot, and they were crying. I could feel the heaviness, and I could feel their tears, and it was kind of a, it was sad, but it was also a happy feeling, knowing that they were here, or there, wherever you want to call it. They were there with him as he was watching me find him. And then I looked up, and there's his daughter, Navy. And I ran up the stairs, and just as I ran up the stairs, I flipped her around. I probably scared her half to death. And I went running in the house, and just as I went running into the house, I heard Madison come in through the front door, and I heard her walking down the hallway and coming in through my room. And people that know my room, it goes outside to a hot tub room, and then it goes outside to the deck out here, and they all meet. So as I was coming up the stairs and grabbing Navy and running in here, we were doing a complete circle. I was chasing her through the house, trying to stop her from going outside. What I should have went through this way and caught her in my room. Obviously, I wasn't thinking clear. And she ended up seeing Morgan too. And it was so tragic. She grabbed Navy. And I'm trying to dial 911 on my phone, and I can't even get my code to work. I'm freaking out, and she's trying to run out the front door, and she's got the baby in her hand, and I'm thinking she's gonna fall. And I finally get the 911 operator on the phone, and they're trying to keep me on the phone, and I'm trying to keep Madison from falling down the front stairs with the baby. And we sat there and cried on the front porch and waited for the ambulance to come and the police. I guess I'm doing this video so if someone else has to go through this, they can look at my videos on YouTube and kind of see what I've went through. So I will be sharing some things that are a little kooky or weird or maybe even unbelievable. My son's body died, but he is not dead. He is still here. He gives me messages all the time. It's really strange to talk about because it seems like, oh my gosh, this lady's crazy. Well, I might be a little crazy, but these things are still happening. When lights turn on or when things happen that you can't explain, it's really, really interesting. And I know it's him. I'm gonna get some water.
Why don't you share your first experience?
Okay, so I'm gonna introduce Allison. She's recording me. Allison is Morgan's girlfriend, and it's been an interesting road, and we'll get into that more down the road as well, but Morgan loved her very much, and before he died, I already knew this, but before he died, he made sure that I knew that he loved Allison. And oh my gosh, I want to tell you this too before I tell you my first experience. Right shortly after Morgan died, I had realized, I remembered back to all of the times where weird things popped into my head. So most of the people that know me really well know that I had to end up going to court to be able to see my granddaughter and have her. I get her now on Sundays, and I get her a little bit more here and there now, and I'm so very thankful for that. But I remember things, conversations with Morgan, clear back like maybe last February or March. Morgan said to me, when I die, I want you to cremate me. And I was thinking in my head, what in the crap? What is he thinking? And I said, well, since you're on such a morbid subject, do you have a will? And he said, I don't need a will. And we just kind of blew off the conversation after that. We never went any further. And it wasn't that my son was contemplating suicide at all. I really honestly believe that his spirit and my spirit, or soul, whatever you want to call it, were talking to each other and preparing me for what was to come. There was a time around Mother's Day where I don't even remember what happened or what came in my mind, but I remember thinking, oh my God, if my son ever died, I would have to fight like hell to see my granddaughter. Who thinks of those things when you have a perfectly healthy young man in front of you with his wife there swimming with their daughter around Mother's Day? I mean, you don't think things like that. I don't know why I thought it, but it just came into my head and I quickly brushed it out as it was nothing. And then the day before he died, I was brushing my teeth and I remember thinking, oh my God, what would you do if one of your boys committed suicide? And the first thing that came through my head was, oh no, Benner's struggling so bad right now. I don't know what I would do. And then I quickly was like trying to change and get that out of your head and replace it with something less terrible. And I thought to myself, boy, you keep having these really weird thoughts. You need to get them out of your head. So I really honestly believe that our souls were talking to each other and preparing me. There are many more things. I'm sure I'll remember them as I do these videos. But as Allison was saying, my first experience was right after he died. There were two, and they were within a day of each other. And I can't tell you honestly which one was first. I could hear him walking up from downstairs where his room was. And I could hear his footsteps all the way to my room. And I was asleep. I was in the frame of waking up, but I could hear him. And I could hear him walk down the hall. And I sat up straight in my bed and I was like, I can hear you, but I can't see you. And then the next day or the day before, I don't remember which one was first, like I said, I heard this walking in my hot tub room, and all of a sudden my door opened and slammed shut, and by this time I'd sat straight up in my bed because we were getting ready for the funeral. And I needed to get out of bed so that we could go to the funeral home and do some of the stuff that we needed to take care of. And I remember watching or hearing him walk in front of my bed and alongside of my bed, and he stopped and he stood right here. And I remember telling him out loud, Morgan, I can hear you, I just can't see you. I know you're right here. What are you trying to tell me? And I didn't obviously get an answer, but I could hear him. And so these two things were kind of a start for, I would say, what it was to come. Hi, Nina. And this is Nina. This was originally Morgan and Madison's dog. She does some things. It's pretty funny. My dogs, they kind of adopted me, this one and the husky, Akima. It's really interesting because one of the thoughts were, you know, my Morgan, he's gonna have to help me bury this dog. And I kept having weird thoughts about that he wasn't gonna help me when she passed away. She outlived him. But she does some interesting things in the other dog, and we'll talk about those later because I don't want to put too much in one video. Okay, and we are back. Sorry, there was a little glitch there. My phone died right in the middle of the recording, and actually it was good because we decided to take out a part and rearrange it a little bit. So I am going to talk about now A little bit about how everything was set up out back and why I have told everyone ever since I found Morgan that I didn't think he was trying to commit suicide or die by suicide. So, how he had done what he'd done was he set up 2 chairs behind him, so when he shot his side where the tattoo is, and let me just explain that a little bit. The tattoo was the date of when he met his wife Madison, and I'm not blaming her at all. This was fully Morgan's decision. This is all on Morgan. But later on, this sounds really strange. Later on, he explained to me what happened through a spiritual experience that I had, and he told me that he wasn't trying to die, but he was trying to prove a point, and so he shot his tattoo. He'd always, gone target shooting with this rifle. It was a 300 mag. I mean, who thinks about shooting himself with a 300 mag? I don't even know why he would have even thought that was a good idea, but that's what he did. He had the chair set behind him no matter which way he fell. If he fell this way, the chair would catch him. If he fell this way, this chair would catch him. And I remember when I found him there, I looked up and I saw where the gun was at. And then I saw where the chairs were. And in my head, it just wasn't computing. I honestly thought at first that somebody had murdered my son.
Where did you find him?
Oh, right. So when he fell backward into the chair, he rolled over. So there was a teeny bit of blood on the chair and a teeny bit of blood where he had rolled over when he realized that he'd made a huge mistake, and he literally crawled 25 feet to where I found him. So I found him at the bottom of my stairs, and this is the part that really was so hard. It was so hard for me because he crawled 25 feet trying to get me to hear him and to help him. His phone was right there on the table, but I remember a couple days before him telling me his phone was messed up. And when he tried to make a phone call, it would shut off on him. And I remember saying to him, well, you need to get an iPhone. You won't have these problems with an iPhone. And I remember when I found him like I did, I remember thinking, if only I had just gone out and bought him a phone, a stupid phone. That would have helped. But then again, you get in this cycle of what if. That is one of the many what ifs that went through my head. Anyway, when I found him laying there, I didn't notice this at first. It wasn't until after everything was cleaned up and everyone had gone home and I walked back down the stairs, and that's when I saw the rocks. And I knew the rocks were not there before I went to bed the night before. I realized that my son had thrown rocks at my windows or at the house, and I just didn't hear him. My brother-in-law is a policeman, and he said what probably happened was when my son was crawling, he was probably picking up rocks and throwing them all at once at the windows. But I don't know. That's just speculation. He could have been throwing them one by one. I actually found one over on the other side of my hot tub where that was a pretty hard throw for him, not being able to, you know, have the use of his body when he threw them. That was probably another 30 feet where that rock hit. Anyway, I can't remember why I went down this road, but essentially, I don't feel like my son was really trying to commit suicide. I really feel like he was, some people throw this out there, it was a cry for help. No, I don't think it was a cry for help. I have agreed with people at times just because it's too hard for me to help them understand. And that's part of why I want to do these videos, is so that people can kind of see what maybe was really happening and going through his mind. And also to, you know, maybe if somebody shows this video to somebody that has been suicidal, that maybe they will rethink things. Let me think for a minute. Everything that week before, he was so excited for, he just got his dream. His dream come true was to be an MMA fighter. And he had literally booked that, Allison, what was that, Thursday before he died, Friday?
I'm
One
not
of those
sure.
days. So it was,
Yeah,
it
it's all
was just
blurred.
a couple of days. And I remember sitting here the day before on Sunday. It's kind of hard when I say the day before because he technically died on the 25th, but it was in the middle of the night. But he had, all the things that he displayed were not that of somebody that was suicidal. He was a little bit troubled because of the divorce, and he didn't want to be a part-time dad. I'm just going to hold this because I know I'm going to keep needing it. Anyway, so I'm kind of getting, you know, way out here, and I want to go through all of that another video. This video, really, I just want to go through just some main things about what happened and why I think the way I think about his death. And really, I don't think he was really trying to die. People that really want to die don't shoot themselves in the side. There's no major organs there, nothing. The problem with what he did was he used a 300 mag, and those bullets are big. If anyone knows about guns, you would know that the damage that it did to his insides, it made his insides jelly. He would have never made it even if I would have found him. So I know that me finding him was not, it wasn't what was supposed to be. As hard as it may be for me to realize that he crawled 25 feet to try to get my help, and that his phone was sitting right next to him on the table outside, he just couldn't reach it because there was a chair in front of him, or maybe he forgot it was there. I wasn't supposed to find him. I talked a little bit at first of this, that there was a security system being put in. They hadn't put the cameras out back, so we didn't have the camera footage on the back, but all of this was caught on the audio on the inside. He shot himself at 4:07, and you hear 3 screams, and then nothing. And then about 5 minutes later, and I would like to add, my dogs went to bed with me on my bed that night. And why my dog Nina didn't hear him is another indicator that I wasn't supposed to find him. My dog Nina freaks out over fireworks, gunshots, or anything like that, and she'd been freaking out because it was the 24th of July. was quiet on the audio. His dog, Timmy, I wouldn't let her on the bed that night because she just drove me crazy. Having 3 dogs on one bed is enough to bug anyone. So my dogs were on my bed. But at 4:07, after the shot, you hear nothing. There was no barking. There was nothing. And that was really weird. Because about 5 minutes later in the audio, you hear his dog Timmy by him. And she starts howling. And a little bark here and there at the end. And I believe that that's when my son, I believe that's when his body died. And the spirits came and took him. He drowned in his own blood. There was no blood outside, hardly at all. It was the most terrible thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I hope that if there's someone out there that is watching this video that is suicidal, that they will think about what happens to those of us that are left behind. Because it is torture. I've tortured myself every single day about so many different things. So if you're suicidal, please. It really does take a lot of guts to pull the trigger, to die by suicide. I no longer feel like it's a coward's game. But no matter what it is and no matter how you believe, the people that are left suffer so great. So just don't do it. Anyway, I don't want to leave on such a really bad, not bad, really heavy thought. If you are someone who has a family member that has passed away, that has died by suicide, I hope that my videos can help you. And I want to get into the good stuff from this experience and how I've gone through all of any imaginable thing I can think of, being angry, being sad, being happy, being torn. I don't care. There's so many different emotions that you go through. In fact, you don't even know half the time what emotion you're feeling because you're feeling so many different things all at once. But if you are out there and you want to know about some of the experiences that I've had with my son since he has died, he does live. He's there. I know he's here. I get his messages. I get the lights that turn on and other things that happen, but I also get verbal messages from him, and that sounds a little crazy, but it's not just from one person, it's from several. And I want to start talking about those things so that if you are left in the wake of disaster from suicide, that you can find peace like I have. I call them nuggets of peace. And so that if you're wondering if the light that flipped on by itself is that person, or something gets knocked off the shelf, that there is no way on this earth any breeze of anything that wasn't even in the house anyways could have knocked something off the shelf, that you would know it's that person trying to let you know that they're okay. So we'll get more into that on some of my other videos, and if you guys have questions, you can always email me and you can text me. Please just be responsible with, your text messaging. Don't call me, text me first, but here's my phone number. It's 801-635-7636, and I'm welcome to hearing about your stories. You can email me at it's michellmay@icloud.com, but the E's are 3s, so it's MICH3LL3MA3
It'll also be in the description.
Yeah, and it will also be in the description. And, if you have questions and you want to know what I think about something that has happened, I feel like I've become an expert in knowing things. I've done a lot of studying on near-death experiences and kind of what happens on the other side right after death. And so I feel like I'm pretty good at being able to answer most questions. But yeah, if you have a need for anything, I really want to set up a foundation for the people that are left in the wake of the disaster. My little granddaughter that's 2.5, almost 3. I want to be able to help the little children that are left, maybe get some counseling or something and be able to have it paid for, out of this foundation, and do some really good things with this. I know there's a whole bunch of foundations out there. That's not what I'm looking to do. I want to start this, and however big it becomes is wonderful. It's totally fine with me, but I would love your support. And again, if you have any questions, just please text me, and you can email me as well. Y'all have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this introductory story. I would call it episode 1 maybe, I'm not sure. But thank you for watching.